Hi, in this lesson, we'll talk about variables. Computer memory can store pieces of information that can be changed or updated throughout a program. One way that programmers are able to store information in a computer's memory is by using variables. While they use the same name, variables in algebra and variables in programming are different. In programming, a variable is a container for a value. You can think of a variable as a box. Each box has a unique label called the variable name. In this example, we have three variables, or boxes, named time, name, and is sunny. We can then store a value in each box. Here, the time box contains the value of 60, the name box contains the value of Carol, and the is sunny box contains the value of true. A computer allows you to store thousands of variables with a variety of information that we can access and change as the program runs. To store information in memory, we first need to declare or create a variable. This step is important because a variable must be declared before we can use it. If we try accessing the variable without declaring it first, it will cause an error. In Lua, to declare a variable, you use the keyword local, followed by the variable name. Using our box analogy, this line of code creates an empty box and labels it X. So why do we want to use this keyword local? Well, if we leave the keyword out, we create what is called a global variable. You'll learn more about global variables in the future. We create local variables whenever we can because we don't want to clutter the global environment with unnecessary variables. It is good programming style to use local variables whenever possible. Each program language has its own naming convention. When naming variables in Roblox Lua, we follow a naming convention called camel case. When using camel case, the first word is lowercase, and then every word that follows is capitalized. In this example, the variable is named date of birth. The first word date is lowercase, while of and birth both start with a capital letter. For now, let's continue with our simple variable called x. Now that we have declared a variable called x, we can assign it a value to store. To set the initial value of a variable, we write the variable, the equal sign, and then the value you wish to store in the variable. The equal symbol in programming does not mean equals in the way you may be used to using it. The equal symbol is called the assignment operator. Lua assigns the value on the right of the equal sign to the variable on the left. This reads, x is assigned the value 30. Using the box analogy, this line of code inputs the value of 30 into the box labeled x. You can also declare and initialize variables in one line by using the local keyword followed by the variable name, assignment operator, and the value you wish to store in the variable, all at once. The value 30 is now saved into memory associated with the variable x. We can access it whenever we want simply by calling the variable name. But what if we wanted to change the value stored in a variable? Well, we would need to reassign it. For example, this line of code, local x equals 30, creates a variable called x and assigns it the value 30. If we wanted to reassign the variable to have a value of 40, we would then write x equals 40. In doing this, 30 is removed, and the value 40 is now contained in the variable x. Notice how when we reassign a new value to the variable x, we don't need to include the local keyword. We only need the local keyword when we first create or declare the variable. So what kind of values can we store in these variables? Well, some of the basic types include numbers, booleans, and strings. Let's dive a bit deeper into each of these. In Lua, all numbers are stored as a general number type. Numbers can be integers or contain decimals. They are all stored as the same number type. The value 3 for the variable name apples would be stored as a number type. The value 40.25 for the variable named cost would also be stored as a number type. A Boolean variable has a value that is either true or false. In these examples, the variable light on is a Boolean value because it can either be true or false. And lastly, the string variable type stores text. Notice how there are quotations around the text to signify to the computer that Carol is a string. A constant variable is a variable that will not change. For example, you could use a constant variable to store a player's name or the height of a building. These are values that typically won't change throughout the game. We declare them and assign values the same way as other variables, with the local keyword and the equal sign. However, instead of using camel case, constant names are in all capital letters with underscores between words. We can also combine strings in Lua. This is called string concatenation. In this example, we can combine the individual strings hello and world to make a combined string of hello world. This also works when we have a variable. For example, in this program, we have created a variable called name and then stored the string Carol in it. Then we can print to the console hello and player name. When we run the program, hello Carol will be printed to the console because Carol is the value of the player name variable. This also works when we have a variable that isn't a string. Here we have the variable level, which is assigned the value of 3. Then we run our program, and you are on level 3 is printed to the console. All right, now that you know about variables, you can use them in your programs to store and manipulate data. Let's go.